My name is Bill Mullen. I'm agronomist for Seed Consultants. Today we're out here in Grant County, the west side of Grant County, customer's place, looking at some corn and looking at see how some of the issues have affected as far as the development of the ear, and at the same time we're going to look as far as what some of these ears did during the drought conditions at pollination time, and what's the yield check going to be. So we're going to have a little bit of idea of what's going on out here. I guess more importantly is trying to tell all our customers, people here in Indiana, you got to get in your cornfields, folks. And you're not going to walk right along the road. You need to get in there 50, 60, 75 rows, because that's really going to tell us what that crop is looking like and what we need to do to set up a harvesting guideline as far as getting these fields and taking this corn off so we don't lose any later on in that. Talking with the customer with this corn here, pretty much this corn was planted May the 27th, and comparing to a field across the road where it was planted on April the 20th. So we're seeing two different planting dates in that. And right now the corn is green. Yes, they've had some rains or so, but more importantly is they had some issues, those hot dry spells during pollination time. As you can see how we have the tip back a little bit worse than what we'd like to see on these ears right here in that. All right, so we did fill out at the bottom at the butt net, filled out nicely, but we're losing the yield out here at the tip of that. Okay, now with this ear here, this was the first plant of our yield check, and we're going to see this, how this ear developed in that same condition, same row. We don't have much tip back. We're really showing the true genetic potential for yield with this hybrid. Really should say that this hybrid is a 104-day hybrid. It's been a very good hybrid for us for the past several years in these type of soils over here in Grant County. So as we start to look, and this ear came off this plant, we got some height with it as far as the rains go. Good stay green color. But as you look here, with this plant here, the soil type, this was planted here on May 27th in that. We did get good root system starting, good nodal root development. However, it only went down so far. We've got compaction, and compaction is basically caused by those late April rains and that ground pounder rains that really prevented the good root development going down in that. With the rains that came later on, it kept these roots growing on top of that and fed it pretty good. However, once the rains ran out, especially at pollination time, we were really dependent upon that plant to really, through these stress type conditions, to go ahead and make this ear work. But some of the issues right now that we're seeing out there in the field is we're seeing some of these plants that are showing this copper type color, okay? And this is basically anthracnose leaf blight. Anthracnose leaf blight this year came in late, and interesting, it started at the bottom and worked its way up. The thing about anthracnose leaf blight though is there are spores on here on these leaves that later on in the season will go ahead and attach themselves to the stalk, work itself into the stalk. From anthracnose leaf blight, we'll have anthracnose stalk rot. So this is one thing that we need to keep in mind. With stalk rot coming, we need to make sure and get these plants off as soon as we can. That fits in our guidelines. So plants like this, they're going to have the anthracnose. You're not going to want to leave it stand till the end of October, because for the most part, they're going to be falling down. Ears will be on the ground. We're going to lose it in that. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is that gray leaf spot this year has come in late. It's worked its way above the ear leaf, but this year, compared to past years, we really not see where gray leaf spot is going to hurt us as far as the yield. I haven't seen much northern out there. The gray leaf spot is a little bit more prevalent, but it really has nothing affected the ear. The big thing for us at harvest time is the drought conditions that we've had, how it affected the ears, as well as getting this anthracnose here that's affecting the standability here later on the season. This being the late part of August, there's some issues out there. but we need to walk into our fields and really find out how good that crop is or how bad it is, so we can go ahead and take it off in a timely manner and save yield. We just want to follow up here. We went across the road to the field where different hybrids, 108-day hybrid, but it was planted April 27th. So we're seeing a difference of 3 to 4 weeks with these two different planting dates. Did it have an effect on yield? Well, right now is where we look at it. This was the field that was planted here on May 20th, and you can see a little bit more stress conditions, a little bit more tip back. This is the field that was planted on April 27th, different hybrid, same soil type in that, and the roots were a lot better developed. But we don't have the issue with tip back on the earlier planted corn like we did with the later planted corn. When we did our yield check here, it was 150 bushel to the acre. When we did our yield check here in that field that was planted early, we had 204 bushel to the acre. So we see the planting date, same conditions. Yes, the hybrid's a little bit different, some different tolerance to disease, but with early planted corn, with Mother Nature's help, we have the chance to have for higher yield, and especially very evident this year. All right. One other thing to say is I've been walking a lot of fields here from Warsaw, Indiana, Silver Lake, and all the way up to La Crosse, Indiana. One thing I could say, folks, is I see a lot of, on the non-GMO, the conventional corns, I see a lot more corn borer that's into the ears now. I see a lot more of the corn earworm that's already gone to the middle of the ears and that, all right? So we know there's even insect issues out there that are affecting the shank on the ear. Whether or not it's gonna hold on, we don't know until we walk in that field and see if we have eardrop. The other thing too is with corn earworm, with as rapid and as much as that insect is feeding on the grain, we need to really pay attention to that and really make those fields the first ones to harvest as quick as we can. So in summary is we spent some time out here looking at two different fields. We looked at two different planting dates. We see two different yield potentials that are out there in our fields and that. You'll do the same thing, but you're not going to know it until you get out in your fields and you walk. And the big purpose right now, why we walk our fields, is to determine how soon we can go out there and harvest these fields. Some of these fields have some insect issues, corn borer, corn earworm and that. We got anthracnose leaf blight out there, it's going to stalk rot, all right? The other thing is that some of these plants are just hanging on. Some of these plants have very good stay green, plant health and that. These are factors that you need to keep in mind when you're out walking your fields, because the goal is right now, the way this year is, try to save every ear that we can. More so in that tank of the combine rather than laying out in the field. We're over here in the field, Grant County, in a soybean field that was planted May 18th. It's a 3-1 maturity bean. We really just wanted to see how good these beans have potted on the plant. And as you can see here, we do have some branching, but when you look at on our main stem or so, how these beans potted all the way up through that plant. You know, we're throwing our clusters out there, and hey, we're even throwing up here at the top of the plant. So we have the potential for this pod to go ahead and fill out with some more rain, a little bit better growing conditions than that, all right? We're seeing some 4-bean pods on this plant, but very healthy, and we're sizing up the beans really nice too in that. So when I look at this field, walking in the field, you know, we're gonna see a little bit bigger bean that maybe we've seen in past years with drought conditions and that, all right? So, you know, the recent rains we've had in the past couple weeks, or especially the last 2 weeks, has really helped out as far as filling out these pods. The more pods we fill out, the more bushels of beans to the acres we're gonna have. So really, the late rains here with our early, mid, and late group 3s are really gonna benefit. We still got a little ways to go, but our yield potential is looking a heck of a lot better now than it was looking maybe 2 weeks ago. The one picture you also saw was that insect was the stink bug, green stink bug. I haven't seen that much defoliation or feeding on the leaves. Seem to be very healthy. Don't see any sun death in here. Don't see any frog eye in here. So really a healthy plant. It has grown through the stress type conditions, and it's put the pods on there we like to see. So I really anticipate a really good yield of this field of their 3-1 soybeans. And with the farmers' expectations, I don't think it's going to let them down. So, you know, it's one thing we talk about walking our cornfields, but at the same time, walking your bean field. See if there's any issues out there in that. I just want to show as far as the good root system, we went down deep here, all right, our lateral roots out here, but more importantly is all of these little round material. This is our nodules, okay? And a soybean plant, really for the high yield, needs about, we'll use about 250, 300 pounds of nitrogen in that. And it's with the nodulation and what these roots are able to pull nitrogen out of the soil that's helping supplement the nitrogen needs of that soybean plant. Higher yielding soybeans, you're gonna need more nitrogen, more nutrients, more moisture. But these plants here are showing very good early root development. We put on good nodulation on the plant, and the plant has benefited from putting out a very nice pod formation all the way up the plant. So, you know, the total picture here is with a good root development early, and with the rains we've had, not so much stress on these plants. Our potential for yield and soybeans here are very good compared to what we were seeing 2 to 3 weeks ago.